Hey, welcome to For the Story, the only podcast that isn't talking about Game of Thrones. My name's
I'm Ash. This week, for the first time ever, we watched nothing. We didn't watch anything.
No, we watched a movie. We did, Ash. I dug deep down to the bottom of the barrel, and we watched Poultrygeist, Night of the Chick Undead. A movie so inflammatory, Ash is claiming that it doesn't exist.
Also, you keep saying Chick Undead when it's Chicken Dead.
Is it just Chicken Dead? I thought the joke was that it was Chick Undead. Oh yeah, it is just Night of the Chicken Dead. You're supposed to. It rolls off the tongue. I honestly thought it was Chick Undead for the longest time. I guess it just is. I understand the chicken
you're
joke.
Totally, or not dead. Dad, you're a dad. What's it called? Avatar? Or
oh my god.
The Last Airbender?
Speaking of Avatar, how about that first episode of season 8 of Game of Thrones? Or Game of Thongs? Is that what this one's called?
Game of Thrones.
Yes, Game of Trogs.
Garnish of...
Is that a thing?
I don't know.
Garnish?
Garnish of Thrones.
Yes. Yeah. So, you know how Game of Thrones has just been hyped unbelievably this past week? Everybody that's been waiting for it. I don't know. I know it's a meme right now to say you're the only person on earth who hasn't seen an episode of Game of Thrones. But I think we actually might be the only podcast that isn't talking about it.
I have seen it. I
have to.
I lost it when they brought Jon Snow back. I was like, okay, this is officially dumb. Like, you kill everyone.
He keeps dying and coming back to life. Yeah, every character dies just for the sake of viewership.
And everyone's fucking arguing, who's going to sit on the Iron Throne at the end? I'm like, well, maybe it's the character that for some reason doesn't die. Like...
Yeah, exactly. It's like, that's absolutely what it's going to be. Like that, or it's all going to end peacefully and it's going to revert to a democracy. Yeah, they're each going
to take one of the swords out of the chair and just going to hold them, feel good.
Or it'll be like a really bad ending. Like it'll be something like, you know, the Battlestar Galactica that was on the Sci-Fi Channel in like 2004. Should we spoil the ending? I mean, it's been like 15 years.
Come on, what are you doing?
Yeah, exactly. Well, at the end of Battlestar Galactica, they get on a spaceship and they return to a planet and they're like, this will be Earth 2. And then I'm pretty sure it fast forwards and it's just like Earth now. So it was supposed to all take place in the past or something bad like that. What if that happens in Game of Thrones? And they all get on a spaceship.
We can't let them know about the dragons. We will just call them dinosaurs. If anyone ever finds a bone of a dragon, we'll just call it a dinosaur. That's a cool name.
It's genius. So, yeah, that's what I'm thinking when it comes to Game of Thrones. I don't know. It seems like everybody waited for like 2 years for an unimpressive episode. That's the consensus that I seem to have gathered.
It is kind of the Dragon Ball Z of TV shows. They give you like it's just like that was the Kame or maybe even the Ka. And so like it's 6 episodes? Episode 4, you're gonna get that battle you're waiting for. Like
exactly. It's going to keep building it up and drawing it out as long as possible. Winter's been coming since season 1 and it's season 8. Or I think it's season 8, right? It's something like that.
12, something.
So they've been saying winter's coming. It's been coming. And then it's like winter is here and they're still saying it's coming. It's unbelievable.
It's just not good. I mean, like I appreciate putting money and putting story at the forefront. And I always love too many characters. Like, don't get me wrong, I love all of that. But they've become formulaic, in my opinion.
For sure. There's a couple things that there's like 3 things mainly that bugs me about Game of Thrones. I think the first thing is that it's especially at this point an exercise at over serialization of a story that initially seemed to be really, forward thinking and unique, and like there's all these characters. Another thing is that there's so many scenes that are just two characters fucking talking, and they just bring up 100 different
other characters,
like fantasy world names, and everything's like interlocked to the point where you would have to go back to the first season, which isn't that big of a deal. I get like self-referentialism is actually really good and really big interconnected stories like this, but it's to the point where it's just almost absurdity, and characters are just telling other characters things about other characters. It's endless.
Kind of a caricature of like nerddom, where in order to explain the nerdy thing, you have to explain 1,000 other nerdy things and say a bunch of nonsense names that are just like fig roll and like real bad. I don't know. I appreciate it, but at the same time, it is not for me. I get a lot more out of lower budget shows that don't try and overcomplicate themselves. Because let's face it, George R.R. Martin is far too large to suck his own dick. So this is as close as he can get.
Oh my God. That's horrible, but I think it's that, and this is a problem that I see with HBO just in general. This is a really hot take, so get ready for backlash. But I find, hot take, sizzling hot take. Can we edit that in? Thank you. And so a problem that I have with HBO just in general is that they are allowed to get away with a lot more, and they seem to really in the beginning like of HBO back when did it start, like probably the mid late 80s, right? Something like that. And it was maybe even the early 80s, but it was new, and it was like, whoa, like what's this? They could show boobs and stuff. That would have been cool on cable television back in the 80s, even in the 90s. But nowadays it just seems kind of exploitative, and it seems like they really draw a lot of attention to all these terrible things that are happening to characters. And it kind of seems like, okay, time for the HBO part.
Actually launched
and they gotta
in
say like, I'm gonna fuck you in the dirt. Yeah. Wow, really? That's way older than I thought. There you go. That's how much I know. See, don't trust my opinions, guys.
But no, I mean,
I'm sure it's great. If you enjoy it, then that's great. I'm glad you can enjoy something.
There are very few shows that HBO didn't muck up by giving it too many seasons. Like True Blood, everyone loved True Blood, but then it got like ridiculous. Like some of their better shows.
I thought it was pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, it was already pretty ridiculous. But like they do this thing where they diverge from like source material, and then immediately it's just like, oh, this is not.
The quality drops. Good. I think there was something like George R.R. Martin was going to write another book. I don't know. I don't know all the facts here, so don't quote me, but I think he was going to like write another book, and then he was taking too long to do it. And HBO was like, well, we need to release another season. And he was like, well, it's not ready. And they were like, well, we own the rights, so we're just going to do it. And I think that's when he became uninvolved with the show, because I'm pretty sure his involvement with the show is basically like a thank you credit at this point, or like a created by credit. So yeah, and like, which is unfortunate, because from what I understand, the show was a lot better when he was involved and had more creative input.
Now, instead of just trying to fucking
dipped.
Whatchamacallit, HBO Go and shit, like, it's just not.
Is it? I guess, yeah, kind of. That's probably like, this is obviously one of those shows that's, selling that service. You can also get HBO. I don't know if it's HBO Go or if it's just, it probably is, right? But you can get it with Amazon Prime now, which is really interesting. Like, that's how, right? Like, what an odd coupling of two services.
I'm trying to think. Silicon Valley, that happened to. Curb Your Enthusiasm is the one show where it hasn't gotten old, because it's just perfect and I love it.
I haven't watched. I've watched like one episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm. Please tell me it's the
Officer Krupke one.
I don't think so. I honestly can't even remember. I think I started to watch it and it was like late and I fell asleep.
You're also not a Seinfeld guy, so.
That's true. I'm not really a TV guy.
You could just say I'm a bad person, and we get it.
I'm just a bad person. I like things like Poultrygeist, Night of the Chick Undead, or the Chicken Dead. See, I can't even not say it now.
Okay, Dad.
Yeah, right. I like things like this movie, and I'm just not into Game of Thrones, man.
I'm not either.
Fucking horrible. I'm a
It's
psychopath.
a little hive-mindy. I mean, like, I would have gotten into it if they were doing like this season as like a film release, because they're hour-and-a-half long episodes, I think.
That would have been
Like,
cool,
yeah.
right? Oh, yeah. See, I think that's impressive.
Like, just take it to the screen and put out one a month, and then get butts in the seats. Like, come on.
Yeah, and I think, I don't know. From what I understand, it seemed like a little bit of this first episode of the new season came across as rushed, and maybe like promising hour-and-a-half long episodes was a bad move. Because that's a lot of material. That's almost like that's 50% more material than they would have made. Although I guess was that the case in the season prior? Were they hour and a half long?
So I think that, let me double check what the Game of Thrones season 8 like episode length is, because I feel like now, like, did I do it wrong? What am I doing?
I don't know.
How long are these?
The internet's broken.
Yeah, it's not working great.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like, it's one of those things. I don't know. It's certain things get overhyped, and I just can't get it. No, it's 54 minutes. It's not even an hour and a half. I don't know why I thought that.
Oh, well, then forget everything we just said.
They should have done it in an hour and a half.
One thing that isn't overhyped, just kidding, it might be a little overhyped at this point, but I think it's still going to be really good, is Avengers Endgame, dude. Oh,
you see,
God. Oh my God.
Okay, so it's really hard nowadays to argue that Marvel did better than Game of Thrones, because that's a hot take. But they took their time developing a bunch of different characters, making you care about them. Like, it's as if Game of Thrones had episodes only for single characters, or like entire seasons for single characters, and you really got to develop with them.
Yeah,
the movie looks great. I mean, I've seen so little of it, and I am so happy about that. Apparently, there was a huge leak.
Yeah,
of 5 minutes of film with huge spoilers.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, let's try to avoid that at all costs. I don't want to get.
Do you want to make really rash predictions?
Something to do with Ant-Man entering Thanos and expanding an end.
Okay. I think we're gonna get Avengers Assemble.
I'm really hoping.
I think
What's
Cap's
that?
Gonna say Avengers Assemble, because they've been asking him to for 5 movies. I think that Thanos isn't going to be the big bad.
Yeah, I think so. I think you might be right. It's going to be like Galactus or something like that. Baby. And they're going to up the...
I am...
Kang? I don't know.
Time-traveling manipulator guy. He's cool.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I don't know, man. I think I really hope that they like last minute threw in a reference to that meme. Like just some offhand line, the meme about Ant-Man. Like, because that was like the biggest joke. Wouldn't that be amazing? It's like, yes, they know what they're writing.
Listen, everyone thought the name of the movie was going to be Endgame, and they're like, no, it's not going to be Endgame. It's not going to be Endgame. Damn it. And then it was Endgame, and maybe that's what's happening right now.
Yeah, it could be.
It's just seeing Paul Rudd be interviewed about the movie, not able to say anything, but always being asked about climbing up Thanos' asshole, is probably the greatest thing that's happened to Paul Rudd's career.
It's so funny. It's great. It's actually not funny.
It's like so lame.
And the thing is, that's why it's a funny joke, because it's super lame. Like, can you imagine if that's just what they did? But then you look at something like Poultrygeist, Night of the Chicken Dead, which is also so lame, and that's what makes it shine.
It's not a shine. It's more of like a grease.
It's a grease. It really is. But before we get into that, Ash, you told me before we started recording that you watched some interesting movies that you would like to discuss.
Oh, man. This Saturday, it just worked out that I saw 2 movies in the theater in one day.
Oh, yeah. I remember this. You were texting me. You were like, I think I'm going to see Pet Sematary. I was like, hell yeah, brother.
The first movie I saw was Hellboy. It's...
Oh, no.
All right, quick number. It's a 3. Don't see it. It's pretty bad. David Harbour's not good at all. The script is awful. Can we make a new rule that in 2019, no more King Arthur storylines? I'm done with it. I'm fucking sick of it.
There was a King Arthur storyline in Hellboy.
Not just any King Arthur storyline. Hellboy's half demon, half human. He's half the granddaughter of King Arthur, and he draws Excalibur in the movie.
That's
it was
stupid.
so dumb, dude. And then they had some cool character design, sure, but his cohorts were super lame. And the plot was like weird and rushed. Like the only good part was like they had Baba Yaga and her character design was cool, and she like kept doing like those gymnast bridges to walk around with like peg legs and shit. It was cool, and they had her in the walking.
Ew, that sounds kind of
totally
creepy.
It was
I kind of like that.
I recommend watching that one scene. Sneak into a theater and see it.
Or just like when you're in the bathroom, or like when you're coming back from the bathroom, when you're going back to the theater to see Pet Sematary, just like poke your head in.
Just see that part. Pet Sematary though also did not like. I was on a little bit of a date. I was on a date, and I had to hold my tongue and not be the most cynical asshole. It was.
That's hard, man. When you're talking to somebody about movies, and then
you're the worst.
It's like, because we're terrible because we hate everything. We hate everything except for like Marvel movies.
We're like, on paper we're the worst
and
guys.
The Shining.
I like Marvel movies and The Shining.
But you know when someone's just like, have you seen the 2016 Ghostbusters movie? It was so good, and you're like, no, man.
I've never heard anyone
that
say that.
Bad.
So let's pick a better example.
I have. What about? Oh my God!
It's like a recent popular movie.
Whatever.
Like we both liked Hereditary. That's what this movie was trying to be.
Yeah.
Pet Sematary is trying to be Hereditary, but with like no Toni Collette and like no good child actors. And I love John Lithgow to death, but he was like, no, it wasn't good. It's just very like too much jump scares. I don't like the idea of a demon, like a zombie cat. It just was uncomfortable. Like it wasn't even scary. I was just like, oh.
That's
like if my dog came back as an evil dog, I'd just be bummed. I wouldn't be scared. I'd just be like bummed out.
I think it's really interesting because Stephen King books have been adapted for decades now into film, and they've always been hit or miss. This is not a new thing, but it seems in the past couple years he had like 2 hits in a row, because there was I haven't seen Misery or It. Misery was a Netflix film.
You didn't see the original Misery?
I haven't seen any of them.
The original Misery is so good. What's her face is so fucking creepy.
Oh, well, maybe we'll check that out at some point soon. But he had like 2 hits in a row that were
Bates.
widely acclaimed. Kathy Bates. Well, he had 2 hits in a row that were like widely acclaimed, and so now there's like an influx of all these things because producers are like, oh my God, we can make money off of Stephen King titles again. Yeah. And so it seems like all of these things are going to get remade. I don't know how Pet Sematary is doing financially.
I can't. My theater was pretty empty. I mean,
Yeah. And you saw it on a Saturday. It was like a Saturday night,
there were
right?
maybe 5 of us. Oh, and there was an obnoxious kid who kept clapping during the commercials. I'm like, yo, I'm going to smack this child.
Dude, that's bad.
Yeah, let's see what this got opening weekend.
Well, the budget was only $21 million, which is pretty
That's
small
like
scale.
Us money.
It is. Yeah, it's the same. Well, I think Us was actually cheaper.
I think it was.
In a vastly superior movie from what you claim.
It wasn't great. It's just like, dude, it was.
Who's Kevin Kolsch? What else did he direct? I don't recognize anything else he's done.
This movie.
It looks like it's all. Yeah, it looks like it's all horror. Let's see what his oldest credit is for director. 2003. It's a documentary. Absence in 2009. I've never heard of any of these movies. Well,
Yeah.
Interesting. I might go and see it.
I mean, like,
honestly,
there are worse movies, definitely, but it's very by the beats horror whilst trying to be, really just super trying to be Hereditary. Like, aesthetically.
That's interesting. Yeah, well, Hereditary was kind of like pretty pivotal. It was interesting because there were parts in Hereditary that I felt were extremely unique, but then there were parts in Hereditary which, especially more towards the end of the film, which was a little by the beats horror, but it worked really well because the concept and the whole rest of the movie was really unique and fun.
So well, it
was filmed really well.
They worked with the darkness. Yeah, so. I appreciate working with the darkness well. Another thing I don't like about Game of Thrones. That show is terribly lit.
Yeah.
I don't care about realism.
It's all got this flat gray. Like, it's all really gray. Unless you're in like the southern sunny port city. I forget what it's called.
No.
But it's all lit, like it's all wintry. It's always snowing 100% of the time, even though winter apparently hasn't come yet. No one owns
a torch. It's like it's a show that for huge chunks of the show, if there's like a beam of sunlight that has come in through my window and is like on a wall next to my TV, I can't see anything from the glare.
Right? Yeah. I mean, another problem that I have with this isn't another HBO problem, and this is something that just irritates me to no end. And maybe it's irrational. Maybe I'm an asshole.
We're both assholes.
Okay, this could be it. Yeah, they do that thing I mentioned this earlier, where it'll be two characters talking to each other, and there will be background noise. Right, that like it's probably added in post or something, but every time a character speaks, and there's big long breaks between each line. And all that's happening is two characters are talking, which bugs the shit out of me. I can't stand that. But like when a character will speak, the background noise will drop really low so you can hear what the character's saying. And then as soon as they stop speaking, the background noise will bump back up. And I know what this is called because I see it in Audition when I go to edit our stuff, our podcast automatically when I put it in like the file and I drop the files in. It's called a speech volume leveler. And when I have it on, it bumps up all of the background noise so you can hear my air conditioner, all of the fire trucks in Los Angeles, probably ones all the way down in Irvine. and so when that happens, it sounds really not great. And it's like a characterization of HBO shows that I've noticed, but I've seen it in other shows too. So I don't know why that's the case, but it bugs the fucking shit out of me. So there it is.
What did you see this week, Avery?
My rant. I didn't watch a ton. I gotta be honest. I just started a new job, and so I've been really, really busy. But I found some downtime today, actually, and I watched this movie called Night of the Living Deb on Shudder.
You're the worst.
Sounds stupid, you might say. It was kind of stupid, but it was also kind of cute.
You thought this thing. You're right.
Yeah, it was stupid. It's about this quirky girl and this really boring dude who's actually just nice, and then zombies attack. And like, that's pretty much it. Oh, and Leland Palmer from Twin Peaks, or the actor who played Leland Palmer. I forget his name off the top of my head, but he's in it. And then this red-haired girl who is in the Justin Long movie Accepted in 2006 was also in it.
I forgot about that movie. It is not aged well.
Well, the red-haired girl from that movie is in it.
Welcome to the South Harmon Institute of Technology. It's shit. You get the joke, Avery? It's shit.
That's about on par for Poultrygeist.
Yeah, that is. That's pretty highbrow.
Which we are going to talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to get into it. We talked before the episode started, and we were like, what can we talk about to put off talking about Poultrygeist? So that's something that's happening. Poultrygeist, man. It borders on softcore at times. I think there's literally a couple softcore porn scenes in this.
Yeah, they're too big of pussies to show a real dick. Just show me that guy's dick. Why is it like a weird, like a oversized macaroni noodle that's made of porcelain? Like, just, you know what? We can handle it. We're adults.
I don't think we can. I don't think I can handle
we're
anything
adults.
in this. I don't think we're adults. Oh my god, there's so much ridiculous shit in this movie.
Yeah.
And it's so like, I'm just like going through it because I have it up on YouTube, and like everywhere I click is just bizarre and disgusting. Like I can't find a normal scene. Like,
Of course not.
oh my god.
Okay.
Okay.
So I say let's get into our expectations.
I expected this movie to be absurd. I forget. I don't even remember how I heard about this movie. I can't remember.
You say that they used to play it on the patio at your bar?
Yeah, they do. But I heard about it before I worked there. I actually saw it before I worked there, and then I found out that they play it at the patio there. I was like, whoa, I've actually seen this disgusting, horrible
Last
film.
time I was on the patio there, I like felt ill because they were playing like a weird thing where some kid like fucks a dead
I think
dog.
it was Videodrome.
It was fucked up.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, there's some pretty bizarre films that we have there that we unapologetically
Yeah,
play.
it's not a good movie.
Like it's part of the. Oh, it's
made me
great. People
so
still come up
sick.
there. You see how busy it was?
Really busy. But no one was paying. I'm like, am I the
Yeah.
only one fucking seeing this? He's fucking a dead person.
Oh, everybody was seeing it. People just tune it out. They're like, oh yeah, it's a. I'm not gonna say the name of the bar, but it's like, oh yeah, it's that place. They always do that on the back patio.
It's fucked.
Like everybody that was up there are people that go up there a lot, and they know. And the bartender that was there, he intentionally picks disgusting movies. Like Poultrygeist is one of the ones that he picks because it's intentionally disgusting. So it's like perfect. It's perfect for up there.
Real
It's so
edgy.
gross. Yeah. Oh yeah. Exactly.
Super
It's
edgy,
like,
my guy.
It's like. It's almost how you know that's a pretty popular bar when you can play a movie like this and people don't leave. So, yeah, I can't get away with that during the day. I have to play like RoboCop. That's about the edgiest movie I can play up there.
When's he gonna fight Batman? You should just start
Dude,
pitching
it's
that
got-
to
oh
anyone
my
who
God.
comes in. It's like, hey yo,
RoboCop
when
versus
you watch
Batman.
that movie, and they'd be like, shit, yeah.
I think I would totally watch that movie, and it would be done. It'll it's probably already in pre-production. It's gonna come out in 2021.
Hashtag release the Snyder cut.
Zack Snyder's gonna direct it. It's gonna look like
gonna be
shit.
so gray.
It's gonna be the dark, edgy. Yeah. What's fun about RoboCop though is that movie's kind of like a satire. It's like a commentary. And the sequels didn't get that at all. The sequels are ridiculous. But like RoboCop isn't supposed to be meant to be taken so literally. It's actually kind of supposed to be like a non-copyrighted version of Judge Dredd. Like that they couldn't get the rights for. I think that was like part of the original conception even. That or it just gets compared to Judge Dredd
Maybe
a lot.
RoboCop versus Alita Battle Angel.
Alita would win. RoboCop's all
And
slow.
also Alita can't lose.
Like-
but they fight the same fucking like robots.
Yeah. I think another thing is too, like, honestly, the reason RoboCop and Batman would be so good is because RoboCop stands for like hyper fascist, like all laws, like even down to the point where he has protocols that prevent him from like, breaking the law and stuff like that. Whereas Batman's kind of like that, like vigilante, anarchistic, like a dude I want because
Except for killing people, because
because this city knows me. Or something like that. I don't know. Something that Batman would say, right?
You ever seen Batman's dick?
Is
No,
this a joke?
They snuck it into a comic.
They snuck it into the Zack Snyder cut.
Yeah, absolutely. The shot no one asked for.
So, Asher, what were your expectations for Poultrygeist?
I was like, oh, that's a fun pun title. Like, that seems dumb enough that I would make it up. Those were my expectations. I was like, yeah, this is an Avery movie. We'll see what happens. I was also going, how the fuck am I going to find this movie?
Oh, yeah. It was, honestly, I was thinking the same thing. Because normally I would either... I'm not going to say... Don't
say it.
I'm not going to say what I would normally do. But normally I search around online and see if I can find it streaming anywhere. And it took me a little bit to find out that this movie in its entirety is just on YouTube. So if you want to watch it, you can see it. I hope I'm not drawing attention to the fact that that's like, I don't know. It has 32,000 views. So 32,000 people have seen this since it was put up here in 2017. But It's probably not going anywhere. Yeah, so if you want to go and see it, it's on YouTube. This is the most vile movie ever.
I wouldn't say ever, but it's definitely not comfortable.
It's disgusting.
Yeah. It's
disgusting.
Really gross.
And it's absurd. And on top of all of that, it's also a musical.
So, I don't know if I described this to you, but this movie on first watch appears to be what happens when a 14-year-old has heard of Good Burger but never seen it, got high, and then saw like 12 minutes of a South Park episode and was like, we can do this. Like, not even a whole South Park episode. One with a little bit of singing in it, but just like...
It's totally like that.
It's what it is.
It's so you explained it to me that it's really like Matt and Trey. A lot of parts of it like really are. It's that kind of like
South Park humor.
Excessive, that like excessive, disgusting humor that just like amplifies, and it gets like more and more absurd and more surrealistic toward as the movie continues.
I would say not as good.
I like
as
that.
South Park.
That's a pro.
I saw what they were trying to do.
Though,
at least.
Yeah. I like amplification of humor like that, or like amplification of absurdity. I think is one of the like best things in humor. I think it's great when it starts out like it's kind of the real world, and then something weird happens, and then something weirder happens, and then it builds on that weirdness until it's just the whole nothing makes any sense. I think that's so great.
I have to say the best part of this movie, Avery, I'm gonna blow your mind, was the fact that all the characters had really dumb names.
Oh yeah, it was all terrible. It was our main character. His name is Arby. He wants to get a job at the local. What's it called? It's called like
Burgers and More.
It's
American
Chicken Bunker. Yeah, a military themed fast food restaurant. He wants to get a job there because his girlfriend Wendy goes off to college, and then she comes back. They sing a song, and it turns out she has a girlfriend now, and she leaves Wendy, or she leaves Arby.
And Arby has a very like incel like what we would know now as an incel reaction. Absolutely. Where you just like
almost like so absurd.
Yeah, just like kind of cruel to her new girlfriend.
Yeah, and honestly, like and he's kind of cruel to Wendy. There's like she like goes and he accuses her of being a drunk at one point and stuff because she's at college and stuff. It's which is like my favorite part of the movie, but like there's some other like pretty crazy shit.
We also have characters named Denny, Carl Jr., Jose Paco Bell.
Oh man, I'm so glad I made you watch this.
You're a bad guy. Yeah. Also, just intolerable Islamophobia. Just so terrible.
Yeah.
Her name's Hummus.
That's not very cool.
And they keep making Hamas jokes, which is a joke I make. That's my joke. I'm a quarter Middle Eastern.
You probably got it from this movie. Yeah, man. It was 2006 when this came out. It was a different time.
It was. Yeah, it kind of also had a little bit of who's the ventriloquist comedian? Just for that Hamas.
Jeff Dunham.
It's just got a little bit of Jeff Dunham, little Jeff Dunham kiss on that one character.
Is there? Which
Hummus.
One? What are you talking about?
Because he has the dead terrorist that just makes exactly the same level of weird, mean to Muslim jokes. Ron Jeremy is in the movie.
That's so cool.
That's a positive.
That's a pro. Yeah. Isn't that interesting? Like seeing him and being like, what? Like, that's why I get the impression that this is like, this is basically a softcore film, I would say. It like really like flirts on, there is like just a straight up softcore scene earlier on in the movie. Just an
exceptional amount of boob.
Yeah. And like, yeah, and they're all pretty young. It's pretty uncomfortable, actually.
Yeah, it's super because especially because he's like kind of a voyeur, but in the room, and it's a little. Yeah,
it's bizarre.
This is another reason why I think it was written by 14-year-olds. Is just how they approach what's hot. I'm like, I'm not.
I can't tell if all of the actors really are young or if they're just like that kind of like they have that face where they just still look young even though they're like 26.
Let's
you know what I
figure
mean?
this out. Oh my god.
Yeah, let's find out who are these actors. I think they barely have any credits. Let me pull up.
Jesus.
Jason Yakanine. I don't know how to say that.
Yeah, you can.
That's Arby.
I don't
Got
know
it.
if that's right.
Holy shit! He was in. Oh my god, he was in VHS. That's excellent.
Oh,
That VHS is really cool. If you've never seen
is that the Is that the zombie movie? Or what am I thinking of? I'm thinking of Wreck.
VHS is. Wreck is there's a Wreck. There was an American version of, but the one that's good is the Spanish version. It's actually really creepy and really good. Yeah. So if you haven't seen that, watch it with it's like you almost don't even need subtitles.
Okay, so the Wikipedia for this page
like
has him born 2 years. Oh no. Okay, so he's 1980. So he would have been 26, 27.
Yeah, he looks like he's 18.
He looks like he's
old
12.
in this
That's
movie.
crazy.
Yeah. So there you go.
Weird cast.
VHS though, if you haven't seen VHS, you totally should. It's an anthology film, right? So there's like I think there's 4 or 5 small films that are underneath this like umbrella story. So there's like a anchor point, and it starts out with these guys who are like stealing weird VHS tapes. That's their thing, is that they collect them and they get like totally bizarre tapes, and then they break into this guy's house who's supposed to have a whole bunch of them. Creepy shit happens in the house, and they start playing these tapes with all this like paranormal and weirdo shit happening, and you get to watch the tape in real time, and like they're all just really bizarre. Some of them are better than others, but it's interesting that he's in that. Go figure. Who would have known? Now you know. So I want to say one of the pros in this movie is the scene where they make him clean up after the fat guy just explodes in the bathroom. They make him clean it up in a tutu.
Wasn't he just wearing that anyway? I thought that was just the outfit.
I think that's just his uniform. Actually, I think you're right. But there's like an amazing screenshot where he's just cleaning it up, and it's just absurd, like gore and just feces and terrible shit just everywhere. And he's standing there with like a broom. I keep finding it every time I like jump around. There's just constantly blood on the walls this entire movie.
Yeah.
So gross.
It had the same amount of gore as Hellboy.
Really? Hellboy really was.
It was
really.
Well, it wasn't like poop and vomit in the way this movie was, but it was like a lot of like, hey, look, it's giant guts, and look, it's human baby soup, and look, there's a child on meat hooks.
Oh,
yeah, it was
really?
super gory.
That's weird. What is the message they were trying to go for with that movie? That's so odd.
We don't have Guillermo del Toro, but blood.
Yeah, but we want to be him. Yeah. The thing is like, even with the Del Toro version, like there was some gore and there was some like splatter blood and stuff like that, but it was like fun. It wasn't like disgusting. You know, I don't think there's anything legitimately disgusting in that. You know, the Del Toro Hellboys are just so good. Yeah. Like they're just really good. And the second one's even better than the first one.
I mean, actually, the first one was fine. But
the first one's like, okay, cool. Like, wow, this is before the whole comic book movie boom too. Like right on the cusp.
It was right 2006, so there was some X-Men, but it wasn't like the center of.
The first one was like 2003.
Was it? Yeah, and 2006 was one of them.
Yeah, and then the second one I think came out in 2007.
Okay.
Something along those lines. But I remember I was like, because I saw the first Hellboy and I was like, oh, that was fine.
It's fun.
And yeah, it's a fun movie. I was pretty young at the time, and I was like, whoa, that was cool. I'd never heard of 2004 for Hellboy. Okay. And then the second one came out, and I was like, I don't really care about a second one. That's gonna suck. And then I like found it on VOD at some point. I can't remember when. 2008. Mm-hmm. So I would have been like 15, 16 years old. And I watched it. I was like, actually, that was better than the first one. Because it is.
But yeah, this movie.
So let's get into cons here, Ash. I really want you to spearhead. Oh, I have one pro that I want to put across, and I think I've already kind of mentioned it. But one of the reasons that I like this movie so much is because it's so vile and disgusting that I'm almost proud of the fact that I got to expose you to it. I'm glad that I'm the one who gets to talk about this movie to the world, because it's disgusting. And it's almost so offensive that it's like, yeah, it's great. It's like, you know, when you clean your ears out and like there's a whole bunch of gunk.
I've never cleaned my ears.
You're like, oh, that's gross, but you're kind of proud.
I've
like
never,
that.
Yeah, I don't clean my ears, Avery.
Man, you're in for a treat.
Can you?
I'm gonna hook you up with some Q-tips.
Can you like, you know, can we do like a montage of you teaching me how to do it, and I'm doing it like all wrong, like I'm putting it in my nose, and it's like, let me tell you something about my best friend, and we can have that song play.
That sounds adorable. When you're in town, we should make a video like that. Drop it on the website. People will be like, what is this? This podcast is so weird.
Wow, they're comedy geniuses. Have I told you about my terrible like Instagram story sketch that I've been trying to get someone to do with me and they won't do it? It's like titled Ash talks to a girl for the first time, and it's like 4 straight things of me, like 4 stories, like bars of me just staring at the girl and her looking real uncomfortable. Then the 5th one, the person filming goes, hey, Ash, are you gonna talk? And then I just start screaming at them like, hey, I was getting the courage, all right? I just let me do. And then it's like another 4 of me just staring at them. And then I turn the next one I say, I turn my head to the camera. I feel like I'm supposed to say boobs. It's boobs, right? And then just like the next one, my shirt's all torn up, and says, so boobs.
Let's do it. Let's make stuff like that. I think like that would go well on our Instagram, right? How long of a video can you put on
10
Instagram?
seconds. So you just have to split it up into a bunch of 10-second segments.
10-second episodes. It'll be like Game of Thrones. I'll have this.
Yeah. Just saying names we make up for an hour.
Yeah, exactly.
Film. Anyway,
so let's get this. I want you to spearhead. We've talked about nothing for a while. We're coming close to the end of the episode. I know you have an exhaustive list of cons for us to talk about, Asher, and I want you to spearhead this charge into the con zone, if you will. And let's hear what I want. I want to know what you hate specifically about this movie.
Oh God, like everything. They start off with like sex in a graveyard and a guy touching himself, and then something jumps up his asshole.
Great opener for a movie.
I just like I wasn't even like, wow, this is like impressively gross. I was just like, why? What, like everything in this movie was making me go, why did that? Why?
So as a follow-up question, what was the point when you realized that this was vile, disgusting garbage?
As soon as I met you, really.
You knew. You were like, this guy's got something like this up his sleeve.
Let me tell you something.
This wasn't smut. This was just gross.
Pretty smutty. Yeah, like I don't gain pleasure from gross. I'm not I don't like a fart joke. That's not my style of humor. Like, let me ask you something, Avery. Was it A, genius, B, just an incredible feat of cinema, or C, just awful when they put balls on Hugh Jackman's chin in movie 42?
Movie 43, actually. You're talking about the prequel. Nice try. That movie is an enigma. I don't know why it exists. I think we need a whole episode to discuss movie 43.
Okay, I'm going to call out Spencer for a minute. Spencer, I was watching his dog one month back when I lived in Oregon, and he's like, hey, man, you should check out this movie on demand, on VOD. It's called Movie 43. I think it's really up your alley. The fuck do you mean, bro? What do you mean up my alley?
Maybe he was goofing on you. That movie's one of those notorious films that it came out and people were like, how did they get these actors? There are some like huge Scarlett Johansson's in that movie, Hugh Jackman's in that movie, Chris Pratt is in that movie. Who else?
I think at one point I texted Spencer that it was genius. So I don't know if I'm a good guy either.
Sean William Scott is in that movie. Johnny Knoxville is in this movie. Dude, there's so many bizarre names that are attached to that film, and like people, like, why are they in it? It's so weird. I heard like rumors that they were blackmailed into being in that movie. And I love the idea that some producer out there is blackmailing A-list actors to be in his terrible movie. I think that's fucking awesome. So say what you will. That movie is an enigma and is interesting in its own right, but is absolute trash, like garbage. I would say that probably has less value than Poultrygeist.
I honestly disagree. I think that this movie doesn't gain as much from being campy as you think it does.
But I like it.
I know you like it. I get like what they're going for. It's just not for me. I
can't argue with you there. Then that's totally understandable.
I just think it's like just a waste of time. Like I'd rather be grossed out because a movie's being effective, not because it's being ineffective, you know? Like
yeah, totally. Yeah.
It's like, great. Listen, impotence is sad, but you know, if you're trying to get it up and you can't because of a medical reason, and you know, or like you have some trauma that makes it hard for you to get it up, that's one thing. If you're just too drunk and you can't get it up, that's sad.
That's sad.
You know what I'm saying? Really glad I brought the impotence metaphor into this.
Thank you. It's actually pretty applicable. It actually kind of falls in line with this movie. That's so sad. Yeah. Oh yeah. This movie's terrible. I'm going to be honest. I picked this movie specifically because I knew you were going to hate it. I knew. I was thinking about it. Hey, there are movies that I've picked in the past where I'm like, this is just stupid. Like Ash isn't going to like this. Mystery Men is a great example. I thought you were going to hate
Island
that movie.
Dr. Moreau.
Yeah, Island of Dr. Moreau. I had less. That one was a little more nebulous. Although when I picked that, I had never seen it before. So I just was like going off of a description. I was like, we should watch this. But Mystery Men's one in particular, which has similarly bad, dumb jokes. Mm-hmm. It's not nearly as disgusting, and there are more effective parts, which make Mystery Men a vastly superior film.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I definitely picked this because I was like, this is so vile. Like, there's no way he's gonna like this.
Yeah. Like, I have a lot. Like, I think I strangely have more respect for a movie that's trying to be a good movie, but just isn't. Like Barely Lethal. You know, Barely Lethal. Right. They were trying to make a movie, and it just turned out
Barely
awful.
Lethal wasn't really. Yeah, it wasn't really exploitative either. You know, this movie's exploitative. This movie almost is like a satire of exploitation films. Poultrygeist. It's almost like so ridiculous that it's like almost like goofing. Like, it claims that it's an exploitation film, which means that like it knows what it is, which I like about it. I think that's fun. But everything else about it, it's like, I think the idea of this movie I like more than the actual movie itself. You know what I mean? Like, it's a vile, disgusting movie. That's also a ridiculous musical. And it's about people eating chicken at a disgusting, horrible restaurant and turning into chicken zombies. It's so disgusting.
Yeah.
Go see it. 10 out of 10. No, we're not there yet.
We're close though.
But yeah.
This is a movie where I don't really know what to say about it.
Yeah.
It is.
I know. It's almost like it's one of those like, why? How did this even come into existence?
Like you said, this is like a group of movies. If this was one movie by itself, it would be an enigma.
An enigma. Yeah, it'd be like, what? How? But trauma films have been around for a long time, and all of them maybe not all of them, but a lot of them are like this.
Yeah.
And so
it's weird that this is what they're going for.
Yeah, it's
and
their
arguably,
thing. And they've made a name for themselves.
They ruined everyone's career except Ron Jeremy that was in this movie.
Right? Yeah. And there's so many. Like, I'm looking. Oh, my God. There's so many. There's Bigfoot movies. There's one that's just called Bigfoot. Oh, my God. This is amazing. This is like Cannibal, the musical. The capture of Bigfoot. This is terrible. I can't wait. We're going down this list. Weirdly, there's more chicken-themed movies. There's one called Dad's Chicken.
Oh. Sorry, that one's
chicken,
deeply sexual to me.
Yeah. It could be.
Oh, yeah.
So, there you go. Poultrygeist.
I don't think anyone knows what happened in this movie, but that's okay.
I don't think we should talk about specifically what happened. I think that we should give it a disclaimer that it's horrible and vile and disgusting, but totally exploitative and bizarre in its own existence. And that if you want to just like have something disgusting up your sleeve to brag about to your friends. You think that's gross? Have you seen Poultrygeist? It's one of those movies.
You could probably use it to like, if you want to like break up with your significant other, just sit them down on a couch, hold their hand tightly throughout the entire.
This is my favorite.
Don't even
movie.
don't give them any explanation. Just put it on and hold their hand for the full 1 hour and 43 minute runtime.
Yeah, it's like way too long too. This is a concept that should like barely reach feature length. That should be like an hour and 21
Frankly,
minutes.
I think that this movie is barely lethal.
Ayo. I mean, you're not dead, are you? You got through this movie unscathed, mostly.
Yeah, it barely almost killed me.
Exactly.
Wait. Is this another one?
So, Ash.
Wait, there's one called, I'm sorry, I just found another one. I think it's by, Trauma. It's called Poultry in Motion, Truth is Stranger Than Chicken.
That's amazing. So before we get stuck in you listing off the names of movies, let's get out of that tab and let's move on to our final segment.
Our final segment.
Hey, yo. So if you guys haven't listened to For the Story before, basically, Ash and I like to sum up every movie that we watch and discuss with 5 words that encapsulate the themes of the movie, or in my case, are just happen to be 5 words that are in this movie at some point.
Or 5 words that are actually 6 words.
or 5 words that are actually just unrelated and also 6 words. And then we give it a rating out of 10 and whether or not we would recommend this movie to anyone. Ash, I want you to start. I already think I know what you're going to say. Let's hear it.
Ron Jeremy. Winter is coming.
Just complete. This has gone off the rails.
Okay,
it's just totally unrelated.
Right. Let me try that one more time. Good Burger, South Park, weed.
Yeah. All right. Tight.
This was an uncomfortable experience. I'm on a list now of potential terror suspects. It is, yes, very exploitative, but not in a way that I particularly enjoy. I wouldn't recommend this to anyone. I'm going to give this movie a 0 out of 10.
I did it. Yes.
Now, if I had recommended it, it was a 0 out of 10. That's the true mark of a man.
Okay, I like it.
How about you?
I'm gonna give this movie 5 words: vile, terrible, disgusting, vomit, blood.
Okay. You could have used blood or anus, really.
Yeah, anus would have been pretty good too. Yeah, this movie is disgusting. This movie, the idea of it is better than the movie itself. If you want to have something to like, the name is better than the movie. If you want something that is just so purposely offensive to show to your friends, that's why this movie exists. You show this movie to your friends, you watch it, you all get really drunk, and you're like, why are we watching this? And then you can smile and be like, I win. These people aren't going to forget about this. This movie's like so disgusting. If I had to give it a rating out of 10, I'm going to give it a 1. Definitely go watch it. and tell all of your friends. 1 out of 10, watch it, tell your friends, because it's bizarre. You're gonna have something to talk about forever. You're gonna be like, remember when we watched that movie Poultrygeist? And people are gonna be like, oh man, yeah.
Here's Avery again, ruining the party.
Everybody leaves.
Just someone screaming, I hate you, while someone drags them out the door.
Why? Look what you did. Yeah, it's great. That's what I aim for. So Ash, do we have anything else to wrap up the episode? I do have one more thing to say.
Yeah. Go ahead. Say that one thing.
I was on a podcast. We're actually friends with these guys. I was on the show Get Soft with Dr. Snuggles. It falls under. Are they Movie Melt now? Is that their umbrella, or is that like one of the podcasts? Actually, it's like, I think they're still Compañeros, and then Movie Melt is a podcast that falls underneath it. Like there was like the Compañeros podcast, the movie
Radio
podcast
network now.
Yeah. So very cool. Host of Dr. Snuggles himself, Alistair, really funny guy, Australian. Him and his wife are on the show. It's really good. We discussed Tina and the Professor. It was a really bizarre, another really exploitative film that was pretty interesting. I got kind of drunk. It was fun.
Nice.
There you go. You can find them pretty much anywhere you can find us. I know they split up their like syndication, so they don't all fall under one RSS feed anymore. So you can find Gets Off with Dr. Snuggles probably anywhere you find podcasts. I know that they comment and like our stuff a lot on Instagram too. Speaking of, check out our Instagram for the Story Podcast.
We dare, girl. I don't know.
We are there,
girl. And we should announce there's been a slight change to our schedule.
Oh yeah, we totally underestimated the amount of weeks.
Yeah, and just how
that we have.
In fact, he wanted to call it Infinity War. Endgame is coming out the last weekend of April, so it'll actually be falling into the first week of May.
We're probably just gonna do an additional episode. So we're gonna do Endgame, and then we'll see what we could do about getting another episode out for that Wednesday. I think,
I'm in town, so we might as well throw another one in the mix.
Yeah, because I think we have some picks and stuff coming up for the next month, but those are to come up. We have to schedule that out. Now I'm thinking about it, but yeah. So we got that coming up. Endgame's gonna come out. I think that's gonna be like kind of a standalone episode. We're gonna put it out, and like it's not gonna come out on our regularly scheduled time, which has kind of jumped all over the week recently because we're both going through turbulent changes. It's how it is. We are young adults with jobs and motivations, and sometimes things change, so
I never change. I've been wearing
thanks for sticking around.
Oh, did we say what the name of the movie we're watching next week?
We're gonna watch Civil War.
Captain America Civil War.
I've only seen parts of Civil War, the parts that Ash has shown me that he deems important enough to be watched.
Okay. It's not making me into that guy here.
But so we're gonna watch that. We're gonna talk about it. It's gonna be a fun time because I've never seen it,
and
it'll be kind of like a good lead-in to Endgame. Even though like Infinity War is technically the better lead-in episode, but the thing is, we already reviewed that. By the way, we reviewed Infinity War. It was while we were still doing porno podcast. You can go and find it. We called it For the Spoilers. It's like way back there.
I should say, I think that this is actually going to be a better lead-in because you're going to learn all about the fissure between Captain America and Iron Man, because those guys,
which will be,
they're getting back together.
They don't like each other.
They're getting back together.
Yeah, it's supposedly it's going to be remedied in Endgame because they all got to reassemble. Or it's going to be terrible, and they're going to die. Like, I don't know. I don't want to hypothesize too far before we get stuck in that.
Let's just lower our expectations real quick.
Yeah,
it's going to be worse than Poultrygeist.
No, it's not.
They're going to show little porcelain fake.
They're not. You can't even
on the Iron Man suit.
You can't even compare those two. They're not even in the same class. It doesn't even. Not applicable.
No. You're right. You're right. Absolutely. Black Widow is going to start making very Islamophobic jokes. And
what a weird twist that would be. Like what?
Wow.
Like what if what if they started dropping like seriously Islamophobic like
just like Rocket Raccoon doesn't like the Jews, and I'm like, oh, I get it, Bradley Cooper. I see you.
Wow. Like, and it just came out of nowhere. Like 21, 22 movies in.
And like
they started to get
two
racist.
and a half hours into the 3-hour runtime, it's just like a bunch of expletives at the end. No one could have seen this twist coming for these movies. This is one of the most incredible journeys we've gone on for 10 years.
It subverts your expectations. I think the Russo brothers are also Jewish, so it'd be pretty weird, aren't they?
Wow, just assuming they're Jewish? Because they're what?
I don't know. They're good comedy writers.
I don't know, Ash.
Come on.
You're funny.
It is. It's a compliment.
You're one of them entertainment Jews.
That's horrible.
It's okay because that was from the voice I was doing was a finance Jew. So
hey, it's okay. My friend's Jewish. I'm allowed to say like something that's just totally not true.
I'm just imagining you saying something very like anti-Semitic, and then just being like, "My friend's Jewish." Okay, Asher, I can say that, and I'm like, "Yeah, that friend's
out.
me, Avery."
Chill out, man. My friend's Jewish.
I know.
He lets me say
him, and no, I don't.
All right. We're gonna wrap this up. We're over our time limit. We're starting to get anti-Semitic. It's getting weird.
Don't say we. My brethren, I love you.
So,
happy early Pesach.
So, yes, happy early Pesach. Also, I don't know what that is. I'm sorry, but thank you guys so much for listening and sticking around through this episode. Watch Poultrygeist.
Yeah,
I'm gonna know if you don't. Yeah. So we love you all so much. Check us out everywhere. You know where to find us, and we love you so much.
Goodbye. Fuck you, Avery.